It's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's also a show. Hey.
Was Arrested Development your favorite thing? That
Smell?
you-
It was my favorite
smell.
Yeah. What's your favorite smell from Arrested Development?
Was it the most fun thing? I mean, it's so beloved and so great.
The first 3 series were a lot of fun and a very you were on set and you were really appreciative and aware of how special this thing was, because
How early did you know that?
I knew during the pilot.
Really?
Yeah, it was originally going to be I said no. Initially I said I'm not. I had just moved to New York. I'd been in LA for 9 years at that point, and I was always looking for to leave LA, to move to New York, and I finally found an opportunity where I was in between jobs. I didn't have a job, so I'm like, if I don't leave now, some other job will come along, and I'll stay here for another year, and so I fucking really quickly put my shit in a U-Haul. Got it to New York, got a place, I sublet a friend's place in the Village, and then just spent all days looking for a place I could rent for, the year, and then et cetera, and just immediately,
Just did it.
closed it up, and because if I don't go now, I'm never going to go. And I was loving it. It was some of the best time. There was a lot of, there were periods where I was like, I may die before I'm 40, but I was having fun, and
Right.
I was abusing everything, and doing stand up and doing shows, and it was just
Such a great time.
So and also New York in that era was just New York City. It's not like that anymore. I know everybody says that, and they're right. But just the music scene and the comedy scene was
So
fucking
great.
amazing.
This is early 90s, right?
No. This
Late
was
80s?
no. I was in Boston for that.
You were in Boston.
So this is early aughts. This is
Early-
2000, 2001, 2002. And it was just a special time. It was really.
Side note, when did you start comedy? What year?
I was 82.
82. You were
Yeah.
a baby.
Yeah, I was 17. It was literally the week before my 18th birthday. It was the first time I did an open mic night
That's great.
in Atlanta.
All right. So New York is, that's such a...
I went Atlanta to Boston to LA to New York.
Right. So you finally get to New York. It's just all popping off.
Oh, it was the best.
It's
I was having so
super
much
fun.
fun, and I had a girlfriend, and I was like, I'm not going to New York. I'm not going back there. Don't even send me the script. And then some people, my manager, and also Bob's wife, Naomi Odenkirk, got on the phone and this is a really cool project. It's Mitch Hurwitz is a great guy, and they've got this. You should please check it out. And so they sent me the script, and they wanted me to look at Job and Buster. And Job, I had no handle on. I didn't know what they were looking for. And then you see Will, and you're like, oh, that's Job, of course.
It. Yeah, makes sense.
Because the casting on that show is tremendous.
Insane.
But Tobias, I was like, oh, I know who this guy is. I got this guy down. I know exactly who he is. And it was meant to be reoccurring, 6 episodes a year. I'm like, fucking great. I'll fly out there, do work for a week, come home, live my life. And so I had a conversation on the phone with the Russo brothers who directed it and Mitch, and said, here's who I think Tobias is, and this. And they're like, great. All right, I'll take the job. So I went out,
So great.
and it was about the 3rd day. I remember the scenes we were shooting it was after the pirate ship thing.
Yeah.
And the Tobias is in the outfit, and he comes in about being an actor. It's like in the jail, and we're riffing. There's a lot of and it was it was that day, which I want to say is the 3rd or 4th day of shooting, where I was like, oh, this is really good. This is a cool, funny. I mean, and I'm looking around at this. Some people I knew, some people I'd never met before. talented people. Like,
Yeah.
holy shit, this is a good, smart show. And I remember distinctly, I was on that little bridge walkway thing at the Beverly Connection, which is across from the Beverly Center, and called my girlfriend and said, "Hey, so I think I'm gonna have to do this show full time," and that was it. And it was a lot of fun. Those first 3 years, it was frustrating because Fox didn't like us and didn't really, it was
that was insane.
What didn't they like?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that it was. I mean, it got the critical acclaim. It got Emmys. That's the only reason we stayed on as long as we did. Even though it was canceled after 3 series, it never would have gone to series 2 or 3 if it hadn't gotten, numerous Emmys and
right off the bat,
and and nominated for all these various other things. And I don't know what it was. I don't.
Were the ratings okay at that point?
No, they weren't. They weren't. But it was the kind of thing where, okay, we've given you the product that you bought that was pitched to you. It's clearly critically successful. It's nominated for and winning the highest awards in this field. Now it's up to you to get the ratings up.
Right.
We are doing.
Right.
We've done our job.
Exactly.
You're doing your
So
end.
that's a great point.
You pay millions of dollars, millions and millions and millions of dollars for your marketing team. So we've given you all the necessary tools that you need to help sustain this.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, there's going to be a show, let's say, modernity family style that will come that will basically do the same thing, and they will get all the ratings. So you should check it out.
It's one of the few
It's so
shows that
frustrating.
we would watch and then we'd watch it again.
Yeah, right, exactly. There's so much to it.
If you miss a weird glance or some sort of thing, or like Veep, I did that with Veep. When you watch Veep and you're like, I gotta watch this whole episode again. And then 30 Rock and Arrested Development, where you watch it and it's new. Like there's something you missed, or a funny line that you're like, oh, that actually had 2 meanings.
Yeah,
or a silly
I can't
look.
tell you how many times I would find something out via the internet about a scene that I was fucking in, that I shot over and over again, multiple takes, and spent a third of a day on this scene. And they're like, oh, when Maybe says this thing, and then Tobias comes in, and then Buster does this thing, that's a reference to this thing.
Right.
I'm like, oh yeah. Oh man, I mean, I
So
can't.
many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
That's
learn
crazy.
from the internet things that I missed.
And we all thought that was you guys like planted all of it felt like there were all these different callbacks.
Oh, they were. It was the writers, though.
The writers.
It wasn't
Incredible.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the writing was meticulous, crafted.
God.
And I like that Hurwitz is a fan of stand-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that they're so willing to do something that doesn't pay off until a season later.
Right.
Not just later in the show or later on in the arc of this thing. Like literally, we're going to put this seed in here for 2 seasons from now. And it's
Patience.
Yeah.
I want to take back my question, if I can.
Okay.
Because I started to feel bad about it as you were answering, even though Arrested Development was beloved, and you don't have one high point, because Mr. Show was also, in its raw form, had to have been another very special experience.
Yeah, well, you said fun,
Right.
And Arrested was fun. Again, the first 3 seasons were fun. I think the Netflix thing was not as fun. Certainly season 5, which I've never watched, was not fun.
Can I ask why?
I mean, I'm not going to get into details, but it was. Let's say there was a lost quality to it.
Right.
It was difficult for all of us.
Yeah.
And
there that was a long time in between, right?
Well, not between 4 and 5, between 3 and 4.
3 and 4.
And 4 I liked. I thought it was. I was disappointed to see that they recut it so that it was linear. But the idea that they did, where you would focus on each character, would get like 2 episodes. But they were telling this big story, which I'd never seen before. I'd never seen that approach. And I didn't... I wasn't that comfortable. When I was watching it, it was a little frustrating. And then it was around the Tobias episodes, around 6, 7, that I started to click in. And I was like, oh, I see how to watch this now. Mm-hmm. And from that point forward, I could look for different things because it was all kind of linked in this crazy mind map thing where there's a center story and then all these other stories that spiral out, but they all inform the other stuff. And it's a really ambitious, cool puzzle, It's scientific almost and mathematical and I remember like going, what's going on? What and okay, so there's Michael's face block thing, and then there's this, and what does that have to do with anything? And why am I watching this now? But it was, I'd seen like 6, 7 episodes, and then it just clicked. I was like, I see how to watch this now, and I'm going to go back. And then they, people didn't really care for that, and then they went and recut it and made it all one linear thing, and it's not quite as, doesn't have the impact or the punch. If you put in the time, it's a cool artistic exercise.
Yeah.
And still funny. It's still Arrested,
Yeah.
And
still all your favorite characters.
Yeah.